We are actually live. Okay, good. We're live. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Yeah, so I mean, we give it like 5 minutes for people to come in,
Sure.
but we'll be able to see the charts,
Mm-hmm.
we'll be able to see the comments. So I'll just be
Right.
putting them over. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, as we wait, it's interesting. Usually, I think legal is jargon. When you hear a lawyer, you want to run away. So
Ooh,
you look like a very nice lawyer.
thank you. I am. Mm.
Yeah. So it's good to have a lawyer on board because
Yeah.
so
Mm.
that we don't have all these mistakes that we are all
Legal
performing.
jargon. Yeah.
I know, I know, I know.
Legalese.
I I know. Hi,
Mm.
Felicia.
Hi, Felicia.
Hi. Thank you for coming in. Yeah, I
Mm.
mean, we just need to break it down and say that, you know, yeah, lawyers are good people to work with when it comes to business.
Thank you. We are not all liars.
And you're not
Mm.
expensive, are you? But anyway, we'll discuss that as you go on.
I'm not cheap either.
Hey, hey, Kathy. Hey, Kathy.
Mm.
Anyway,
Niko hapo
good
katikati. There,
afternoon.
in between.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is us. We're just laughing here, waiting for you guys to have this discussion. Please share with your teams. Please share with everyone that you know. It's very important. This is one of the best discussions I think we have. Every week, I know I say that, but trust you me, it's unique every single week. Today, we have a wonderful, very beautiful lawyer. You know, it's not that we see them every time in suits fighting on TV. Today, we are seeing them live here. Very beautiful, all made up. So, yeah,
You're
thanks,
making me
Martin.
blush.
No, that's a good thing because at
Thank
least
you.
today we get to ask the legal things. What does it mean when someone says you want to do an MOU? Surely. But
Mm.
yeah, yeah, thank you. Please share with your teams. Thank you, Martin. Thank you so much. Please share with your teams. Share with people that you've not seen before, with your business members also. I think this is a discussion that is long overdue for everyone who is in business because we make so many mistakes. And this session is just that, for us to discuss and just to, to discuss the costly legal mistakes business owners make, and we do many of them. So we really want to wake up and just ask ourselves, really, what can we do better? How can we do it better? What are some of the mistakes you've made? Ask questions as much as possible. Today, luckily, we have a free session with a lawyer, so you take advantage as much as possible so that we're able to get everything. Ask the hard questions, hard, easy questions. If you've been swindled, you have either signed an MO, you don't know what it says. These are the days that you need to ask. So we'll be starting in 2:05 p.m. and we shall begin, yeah, as we wait for rest of people. So hi, Kathy, how are you doing?
I'm fine. Ivy, how
Yeah,
are you?
thank you. Very well. Thank you so much for coming in.
Mm.
This is the Incubator Nest Hub session. We still are looking for
Mm.
the name, and I think that's something I'll ask my viewers to tell us what can we name it every Tuesday. So every Tuesday we've been doing
Mm-hmm.
this for the last 1 year, just trying to make sure
Wow.
that we're working with business people to just give them sessions, where they learn a lot from other, from people who are actually in different industries. From mental, last
Mm-hmm.
week we had a mental health session, which was
Wow.
fantastic
Mm-hmm.
because sometimes
Mm-hmm.
mental health is very, very overlooked. And today again we have
Mm-hmm.
you. So every Tuesday we are here. Please also like our page on Facebook. Our Facebook page is Incubator Nest, Instagram, also Twitter. Like us. Please also follow us also if you can. And thank you so much for coming in. So in 1 minute we'll be starting. As I said, Please share as much as possible with your teams, with yourselves in your pages. We want to have a very candid discussion today. Yeah. Yeah. Pleasure. Good to see you. Martin, again, thank you so much. Thank you. We're all looking very lovely. Thank you so much. Yeah. So, Kathy, let's start. Tell me, who is
Right,
Cathy Mputhia? And you've not written even Dr. Cathy.
Kathy. In fact, just call me Kathy.
Okay, tell us
First,
about yourself.
okay, first, Ivy, before I go there, thank you so much for inviting
Yeah.
me to your show. It's really an
Mm,
honor. I know you're doing a lot in the startup space, and
mm,
I really commend you for that. Yeah, keep it up. All right, so who is Kathy? I'll start by saying I'm born again. I'm a born again
mm.
Christian. It's a really big part of my identity and of who I
Awesome.
am, and I'm not ashamed of it. So that's
Mm,
what I'll start with. Professionally, I'm a lawyer. Um, I have practiced law for almost 17 years, and that is
wow.
after admission to the bar. That doesn't
Wow.
betray my age. I started, I started
We
early.
are
I started
calculating.
early. Don't calculate. I started early. Um, I hold a Doctor of Laws. I have a Master of Law. I have an MBA, and I have an LLB.
Wow.
So why am I saying that? Is because I'm not only skilled in the legal part of it, I also have strategic management as an added advantage. So other than law, I'm a trained mediator. So if you have domains, just call me. I'm also a patent agent, and currently I'm working at Sympathia Advocates, which is a law firm that is about 7 years old.
Mhm,
Before I go to what we do at Sympathia Advocates, I'll tell you about my other hats. I'm a columnist, and I've dabbled in lecturing, part-time lecturing, and I'm also a businesswoman, entrepreneur. My hobbies: singing, writing, and fashion.
wow.
Yeah, yeah. So that's a bit about me.
Awesome. I mean,
Mm.
what's a polarist first?
Ah,
You said you're a polarist. Or what did I
no,
hear?
no, no, no. What is a polarist? I don't know what a polarist is. To be honest, I said I don't know.
Anyway,
I
that's
didn't say
fine.
that. Mm,
I know you mentioned a lot about different types of lawyers. I think you brought
mhm,
it up. Do you do
mhm,
you what do you mean is you what you mean is that we have different types of lawyers who do different things. So which
mhm.
lawyer is the best for an entrepreneur?
Okay, thank you, Ivy. So when we talk about different types of lawyers, we're talking about the specialties, yeah?
Mm,
Um, I'll compare that to a doctor. Doctors, we have cardiologists, we have um, pediatricians, we have gynecologists, etc. And they're defined by their specialty. So in law, we have, let me say that the law degree is the same. We
mhm,
do the same courses
mhm,
in the Kenyan market. We do the same courses, but we branch out into different fields. So I'll talk of the general ones. Yeah, we have the litigation lawyers, who are the
mhm,
most common. These are the lawyers who go to court and handle court cases. And within litigation, we have different types of litigation lawyers. We have criminal
mhm,
litigators, we have civil litigators, commercial law, we have family, and so on. The second main type of lawyers is commercial law lawyers. We just call it commercial law, and these are
mhm,
the ones who do business law, and
mhm,
it ranges from anything to do from incorporation
mhm,
to contracts to transactional advisory and so on. Then we have intellectual property lawyers,
mhm,
and these are the lawyers who deal with intellectual property,
mhm,
patents, copyrights, trademarks, etc. We
mhm,
have, I'll just talk on the main types here, and we have the
mhm,
conveyancing lawyers. These are lawyers who deal with property transactions. If you're selling land, buying land, building,
Yeah.
etc. Yeah, so those are the main types. And
Yeah.
to your second question, which are the best type for a business? I would say commercial law, because commercial lawyers deal with business aspects of law. And I'd also say intellectual property, because nowadays almost every business has an intellectual property.
Yeah.
For example, I am specialized in intellectual property, commercial law, and conveyancing. I do quote only once
Yeah.
for specific cases. Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. But asking myself, I've been an entrepreneur now for a few years and
Mhm.
actively for the last 2 years at Incubator Nest Hub. And to be very honest, I always wondered what is the place of a lawyer in my business until I got into trouble when I did
Okay.
a certain registration and I'm thinking, what did I do? And I was told it's the wrong thing. That's when I began looking into who a lawyer is and where to get a lawyer. Is it really
Mm,
important for an entrepreneur
mm.
to actually seek services from a lawyer?
Oh, it is, I think, the most important thing
Mm,
before you open your business, because a lawyer will come in at concept stage when you're
mm,
still conceptualizing your business,
mm,
even before you open it. You
mm.
need a lawyer at that point. And
Yeah.
for example, at that stage, what do you need a lawyer for? Some of the
Mm,
things that you're conceptualizing
mm,
are actually protectable under
mm,
intellectual property. And you see, when you don't have legal advice in that area, you put your business at risk. I've seen it
mm,
happening. Um, your lawyer will help you to determine the type of intellectual property, and they'll also help you with strategy. I've seen
mm,
cases where somebody has an idea and they go and share it out. They're very
mm,
excited about, I have this idea or whatnot, and you find that that idea is stolen.
mm,
Um, I won't mention names, yeah, because we're in a
mm.
public setting. But
Yeah.
I attended a talk by one man who apparently invented something, a
Mm,
very big. We all know it. We all use it. It's a very
mm,
big thing in the ICT space. But he came up with it, and he went to do a presentation at the company. And
mm,
according to him, the company took the idea and ran with it.
mm.
He made zero,
Wow.
zero.
Mm,
This ICT thing he came up with is worth billions of dollars, and he has made nothing. So if he had a lawyer at that point, the lawyer will be able to guide him. How do you protect your idea? How do you
mm,
go? How do you go about pitching
mhm,
while securing your idea? Then
mm,
the other thing is registration, like you mentioned. A lot of
mm.
businesses are not registered. Yeah,
Wow.
and I know, especially for side hustles. I've also been guilty of that, even
Mm,
as a lawyer. You're doing your side hustle, but you're not registered. There's always a benefit of registration. And when
mm.
you're talking of registration, it's not everything. We have different types of registrations.
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to say, Ivy, is that at the very, very onset of your business, you need a lawyer.
Mm, yeah.
And even after you set up, you need a lawyer to guide you through employment matters, land matters.
Mm,
You need a lawyer to guide you through transactional aspects of your
mhm,
business. Let's say you're in deliveries, for example. Maybe you
mhm,
have a guy for bikes.
mm,
What kind of contracts are you getting into with your
mm,
staff and with your clients? You need a lawyer when you're at growth stage. Now your company has grown this big and you want to raise $1 billion. You definitely need a lawyer because of, to help you read those fine prints. Ivy, what I like to say is that a good lawyer is a valuable partner. Okay. They work with you long term. And that is something I was taught by my mentor
mm,
when I was young in the practice. And he encouraged me and told me, don't look for the big firms or the big corporates. Yeah. Start with that entrepreneur and be their partner. Partner with them, work together. And you find as they grow big, a solid partnership is established. So please, you definitely need a lawyer, a good lawyer. Yeah.
Amazing, amazing. I like that. A good lawyer is a good partner, which is
Mhm,
something that most of us don't look at. And we'll come back to that. But looking at something you really said about idea and intellectual property,
mhm,
what really is intellectual property and how do you say that your idea is unique? Because we do a lot of things. And in this era where we are actually inventing a lot, how do we
mhm.
protect ourselves?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll ask the other questions. I nearly did 4 questions there.
Okay, Ivy, thank you. It's a common question nowadays,
Mm,
especially when guys are getting into self-employment.
mm,
So intellectual, I want to distinguish between ideas and intellectual property because
yes.
I can come up with an idea to sell boiled eggs on Uhuru Highway. Now, I can't claim that is intellectual property. I can come up with
Mm,
an idea to sell scratch cards, that is not intellectual property. So, intellectual property, like the name suggests, has to do with the mind and it has to do with
mm,
creations of the mind. But it's not
mhm,
every creation of the mind that is intellectual property. Yeah.
mhm,
Um, I can think of what to eat for lunch. I can't claim that is IP. So intellectual property, let me put it as simple as possible, is it is property rights that are given by the state over creations of the mind that meet the threshold, yeah. And we have different branches of intellectual property. I'll try to simplify it as much as possible. The show that we are watching would be a copyright. Yeah,
yeah.
because it is artistic, it's a video, right?
Mhm,
Um, your logo, Ivy, Incubator Nest Hub, your very beautiful and creative logo would
mhm,
fall under a trademark. Why? A trademark is a mark that
mhm,
distinguishes your business from another business. So this logo of yours distinguishes you from maybe Nylab or whatever. Yeah,
mhm,
because of the look and the words. A patent is scientific,
mhm,
scientific, technological, choppy, quote unquote. COVID vaccines, those kind of things, plane engine parts, and so on. So we have different types of intellectual property. Now, how do you move from idea to intellectual property? Your lawyer
mhm,
again. So
mm,
if you see your lawyer and share your idea at concept stage, they'll be able to advise you if it is protectable into intellectual property and again, what type of intellectual property. One common thing I hear people say is, I'm going to patent my idea. There's nothing like that. It is a patent is very technical, yeah. So your lawyer will be able to help you weigh and measure and come up with the right intellectual property. Ivy, before we move on, and another importance of intellectual property, they are valued. Intellectual property is valued. Okay,
okay.
so once it's valued as an asset, you can report it in your balance sheet, and it actually
Wow.
increases the net worth of your business. Someone was telling me Coca-Cola, just that brand Coca-Cola is worth $68 billion. Leave out the machines and everything, just that brand. So it's important to get IP. Ivy, I'm waiting for you to register your trademark, and we value it because it,
No,
it will
no.
increase. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm,
Let me tell you, Kathy, I am so shocked that I can actually copyright and trademark my stuff because this is something that you never think about and you
mhm,
don't see where you're going. And of course, we
mm,
talked about patent. We like patenting everything, but
mhm.
it's good that you've actually told us it's not patent, but more of copyright and trademarks. So
Yeah.
you can actually do a logo and you can actually do your my program and I actually do a copyright out of it, which is
Mhm,
amazing. And I didn't know that. But how do
mm,
you do this? Because where do you
mhm,
start? Like now, for me
mhm.
who wants to do a trademark on my logo, where
Yes.
would I start from?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Ivy. So, again, your lawyer should help you, but let me just mention, copyrights are done by the Kenya Copyright Board, and it's done through the website.
Okay.
Very simple process. Do it yourself, just like eCitizen. Um, Trademarks, patents, and all those others are done at Kenya Industrial Property Institute, KIPI. And it's a very technical process, to be honest. But maybe if someone would want to know more, I'd be glad to share.
Yeah.
I don't know how we'll go about it, but I'd be glad to
Yeah.
share
Yeah.
the process. Patents, on the other hand, are very scientific because you actually have to describe the science behind what you want to protect. So it's all those, Archimedes, Nini, those kind of things. And that's why some patent agents are actually scientists. And my firm works very closely with those scientific people to also help us understand
Mm.
the invention. Yeah. Mm,
Interesting. Thanks, Kathy. I mean,
mm,
this is amazing, and I love what you're saying. I love that what we're doing is educating people and telling them things that are meant to be we're meant to be doing, and people actually lack knowledge. And for me, I'm realizing it's just knowledge that I've lacked. I didn't know I can do a copyright and a trademark, and something that I will definitely pick up with you. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you're here, please share this program. If you share it, just know now it's a copyright. I like saying that, and I'll trademark it also. you know.
mm,
But I think it's us as people who are here, who are listening. It's a realization that really there's a lot we need to do, and there's a lot of things that we need to protect. And also the ideas we are coming up with. And Kathy, when you were talking, I kept on thinking the people who are creating oils, the
mm,
shea butters and mixing them and creating
mhm,
very good oils. What do they
mm,
do in such a circumstance? How can they protect themselves?
mm. Okay, so yeah, the homemade oils and so on. Actually,
Yeah,
I'm one of those. I'm trying to do perfume.
yeah.
Anyway, so basically, let me pick the example of shea butter. I believe then they use some sort of recipe or some sort of ingredients and so on, some sort of formula.
Yeah.
Because if I speak on the example of aromatherapy, there's the formulas or the recipes we use, the ratios and so on. So that is what is protectable, okay? Because your raw ingredients, you cannot protect maybe popo or shea butter or whatever, yeah? You can't protect that, you don't own it. But what you will own is the recipe or the ingredients, okay?
Mhm.
And this also goes out to those in the cooking industry, um, beauty industry. If the recipe is yours and it's innovative, you can protect that in two ways. The first way, there's something we call trade secrets.
Mhm.
Trade secrets. But under the law, there's no statute or there's no law that actually gives you a certificate that here's your certificate of trade secrets. It's basically how Coca-Cola do it. Do you know till today nobody knows the formula of the ingredients of Coca-Cola? People have tried, nobody knows. Perfumes, I don't know, Kenzo or whatever. They're the only ones who know how to make it.
Mm.
So a trade secret is like, how would I say? It's a strategic protection. You don't share with everyone. Don't share with your employees. Don't share. Maybe only few strategic people. Now, also in that space, they would use trademarks. Maybe your oil is called Mafuta. So you trademark that name and the logo so that somebody else does not ride on your goodwill. Somebody doesn't come up with a fake Mafuta. Yeah. And for those who are very innovative and they have fancy containers, if you look at perfumes, the bottles, they're very, the shapes are very, a part of what sell the the perfume or some drinks. If you look at maybe like water like executive, I really love the shape of that water. That is also protectable as industrial designs. So what I'm trying to say is one product can have multiple IP protections. And maybe you discovered if you mix chlorine and whatever, it gives an effect. Then that science behind your discovery is also patentable. We have some patentable creams in the beauty industry. I think like this anti-aging creams. There's a product I use that is also patented. It's a beauty product, but it has a patent because of the science behind it. So IP is not only for the big businesses. It's from the very small to the very big businesses. When I was younger, we used to buy potatoes. We used to call them viduaduas. We used to buy them from another lady at the stage, and there's a way she used to make them. Okay, and she's the only one who knew how to make that whatever. Till today, she's still there. So those are the kind of IP, day-to-day intellectual property protection that people can seek. Now, like that, she could, if she had protected it, she can license, she can enter into a partnership with, I don't know, skiers or whatever, and they produce, they sell her potatoes using her recipe, and she doesn't have to be there. They'll just pay her royalties. So you see, IP is very important. Mm-hmm.
Kathy, what?
Yeah.
No, that's interesting.
Mm,
Because this Gidua lady could actually make a
mm,
business out of what she's doing and license to other people to make that.
mm, mhm. Actually, I feel very sad because a lot of the small businesses have very brilliant things that can, you can enter into partnerships with bigger enterprises. Some of the stuff we have is traditional, handed down. Yeah, and some of those things can be, I don't know, maybe pilau. Maybe there's a way your mom makes pilau that's different from the pilau in the market. It's only you girls in your house who know how to make it. You can actually have IP over that and enter into partnerships where you license a bigger restaurant to use your recipe and pay you some sort of revenue. That is just one example. There are so many other examples.
Ladies and
Mm.
gentlemen, are you hearing this? This is amazing because then we have a lot of ideas that we have not worked on, and we have a lot of things
Mhm.
that we have been doing even in our homesteads that we could actually trademark and sell them as business to other people. And now with the world being global, there's so much we can do. So even our maize, the choma maize that we do on the side, we can actually give example, give that recipe
Oh,
to
okay.
someone.
Mm,
Yeah, and this is amazing. So let
yeah.
me just take a question, Kathy, as we move on.
Mhm. Mm.
At what point does a software idea becomes patentable besides copywriting? That's from Ben.
Okay. Thank you, Ben. Benedict. Yes, thank you. Um, so Kenya, um, in Kenya, the law does not support software patents, and that is because of an exemption in the law where business methods are not patentable. Yeah, and most softwares are done as a solution to business. So what I encourage my clients to do is if you can for you to get a patent on software, then have a combination of hardware and software. I'll just use my phone. It's here as an example. So this phone is a function of hardware, right? The exterior, the shape, and everything. And it also has a software inside, right? So if I submit this phone as it is with the software and the hardware, then it's easier for me to get protection. Although the protection will mostly be on the, if I can argue that for the software to work, it needs this kind of hardware. Now, that is how to get what is it? How to get patents in the ICT space in Kenya. In other places, like I think the US, the last I checked, you can get software patents. And that's why in the US, it's very easy to get a patent. You just think of anything, you're given a patent. Because, so patents are according to jurisdictions. There are some which are very tough, like Kenya. The Kenyan, the Kenyan law is very tough on patents. You can't just get a patent like that. But in other countries, it's very easy. And that's why probably Kenya has fewer patents. I think as of 2013, thereabouts, 14, we just had about 60, about 50, something to 60 patents. I'm sure the number has increased, but that tells you in Kenya, it's very hard to get a software patent, but you can put it in with the hardware.
Okay, that's good. That's good. That's good knowledge.
Mm.
Yeah, because we've had a lot of people that are doing softwares, but they don't know how to go about them. So including a
Mm.
hardware is very important, which I agree with you. Because I have someone
Mm.
who's done a good fridge, but also includes software. So that can be something that they can work with. Yeah. Now,
Yeah.
Kathy, just to move us to the next points,
Mm-hmm.
what
Mm-hmm.
mistakes are you seeing a lot of us doing? And I say us because I'm part and parcel of the people in the industry. What mistakes are
All
we
right.
doing? And you think that you need to tell us to stop?
Wow. I wouldn't call it mistakes. It's a very hard stance. Don't sound like a teacher. But some of the probably the weaknesses I've noticed, and of course we cannot hold it against anybody. It's, I guess, an aspect of awareness also. So one of the first things is not registering your business at all, just doing it in the house, selling and all that. And actually, I've also been guilty of that, yeah. So it's something that commonly happens. But it's very important to register your business, especially if you want to expand and grow. For example, if you want to get partners in the future, you know your partners, let's say someone wants to buy into your idea, they want to see historical records, they want to see
Yeah.
um, how have you been doing your filings? Especially if you want strategic partners, it's very important to have a company because a company, what you'll be selling to them is shares, okay? So not registering the business. And if you do register, registering the wrong business, whatever model. A lot of people go for sole proprietorships, which is not the best because you cannot distinguish between the individual and the business. So those are some common mistakes. Another thing is gentleman's agreements. Yeah. Mm. You have this business, you're doing it with your friends, you guys just go and do it, nothing on paper. Um, then later on, when things go south, you have no fallback position. And you hear people saying, I was conned by my friend and so on. But all that can be avoided if you have these agreements and contracts. There was a case once I was handling, and that case was the hardest case because this guy forms a business, quote unquote. They didn't register anything. So they just started a pizza business together. And most of the investment, most of the capital came from person A to person B. What does person B do? He goes and registers a company and transfers everything to himself. Now, person A wants to go to court. I ask him, do you have documents? Nothing. I'm like, how can I help you? So doing business with gentlemen's agreements is not good. It's a very common mistake, especially when it comes to disputes.
Yeah.
Then there's also the issue of not registering intellectual property. Um, and that is so common. You find someone with the most innovative thing. Even I'll give you an example, Ivy, gym instructors. You find somebody has a Zumba. Yeah. They've come up with it, they've conceptualized it, everything. And they go to every other gym. You'll just hear classes with let's call him Peter, classes with Peter. But Peter is losing out because I only need to go for that class and observe what is being done, and I can take the concept and run with it. But if he gets into an agreement with the gyms he's going to, has his royalties secured and everything and contracts. So what I'm just trying to say is there's a lot of mistakes in terms of casualness and gentlemen's agreements. Then there's this thing guys have of downloading contracts from the internet. You want to do a tenancy, pub tenancy. The first agreement that comes, you sign. I've seen one where they are saying it's the law of Texas, which will apply because those contracts are not necessarily Kenyan and they're not necessarily the right contracts. So those are some of the things I can pick up. Let me just see if there's anything else. Also compliances, people don't comply. You don't take the necessary licenses and so on. And yeah, that's what I can say are the main mistakes in businesses.
Okay, I'm very guilty of one,
We
downloading
all
contracts.
wow.
Yes, I used to do that because I mean, for me, it's easy. I mean, I don't have
Mm,
to pay anyone, and because of the perception. But also,
mm,
it goes back to Kathy. Our lawyers are expensive because that's the perception we have, and that's why we go
hmm,
around downloading and loading everything and just changing the words and forgetting there's the law of Texas. That one for we
mm.
forget.
Yeah. All right, Ivy, that's an interesting question. Are lawyers expensive? Let me answer that by saying we are not cheap. We're well, why am I saying we are not cheap? There's this thing people have. You call someone, you get a random call after 10
Yeah.
years. How have you been? Blah, blah, blah. Wakili, quick one. Wakili, I have a quick one.
Yes.
Now, this person is asking for free legal advice. And let me tell you the question they're asking. It needs research, like 2-3 days research, right? And we're just having this joke with some of my friends in the legal field, like that wakili quick one thing just needs to stop, you know. But that's on a light note. You can still call me. But basically, lawyers, the perception is that lawyers are expensive. I know that is out there in the market, and it doesn't help with all these shows, you know, suits and all that. It's a misperception actually. And
Mm.
what I want to say is that the price of something is determined by how you value it,
Yeah.
your personal utility
Yeah.
to what is being offered, right? Um, Let me just again go to beauty industry. There's someone who cannot pay a certain amount for a certain service, but there's someone else who understands the utility and the importance and the value of that service, and they'll be willing to pay what is being offered.
Yeah.
So first, perceptions of expensive or cheap depends on your personal utility to what is being offered. And that is also to do with awareness. If you're not aware of the importance of legal services, you'll think lawyers are expensive. But once you're aware of the importance, then you wouldn't mind spending, yeah? Then the second thing is prices determined by forces of supply and demand. Okay, so where the supply is very high, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe the price goes lower. Where the supply is a little, then the price is higher. So that tells me that there are certain types of law which are cheaper because
Mm.
the supply is more. And there are other types of law which are more expensive because the supply is limited. If I have a traffic matter, for example, you're spoiled for choice, right? And you can even do it for less than 5,000. But if I want to buy a plane and I want it brought in from US and all that, it will cost more because there are very few aviation lawyers in this
Yeah.
country. Um, Now the good thing is Sorry, before I go to the point I was going to make, also the complexity of the matter determines the price. Now, like I was saying, traffic matter. You can do traffic matter yourself, by the way. Let me just be honest with you. But there are certain complicated matters you cannot do. For example, funding, that kind of transactional advisory or going to court of appeal, you will need a lawyer. So the complexity of the matter will determine the price. The time it will take the lawyer to research and all that also determines price. All that being said, the good news is that we are regulated. So we have the Advocates Act and the Remuneration Order, but these are very funny regulation because it sets the floor. It doesn't set the ceiling. So we cannot go below a minimum for some services, but we are not stopped from going way above. I know some lawyers, rumor has it, there's a lawyer who charges 40 million just to appear in court on your case, 40 million. That's a Bentley every time he's in court. And there are people who pay for it, yeah? That means, so what I'm just trying to say is that lawyers are not expensive. Your perception of expensive really depends on your utility.
Yeah, yeah. Amazing answer. Thank you so much. I mean, it's usually a perception for so many people, and that's why we don't go to lawyers. But I think it's very, very critical for us to start thinking about it. But also, by what Kathy has said before, and looking at the why we need to actually have lawyers, I think it's one of the most important thing for you to have, and make a lawyer your good partner in your company, in your idea, whether you're doing it from home, so that you don't make the same mistakes. Yeah, that is most important. I have a question from Richard right now. Richard asks, why is Kenya different then, and what reasons are advanced? And this is from where you've talked about software idea not being able to be patented in Kenya. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you for that question, Richard. And what I can say is that, like any other law, nations, this is now what you call the principle of sovereignty. Nations have a freedom to legislate whatever kind of law that they want to legislate. So the Kenyan law, the former intellectual property laws we had were mostly the UK, United Kingdom laws. It was like just copy paste and put Kenya where there's UK kind of thing. But I don't know what reason is advanced for what we currently have, but there are policy papers. Remember, we are signatories to international conventions. There's something we call the PCT. Can't remember the full name, but it's Patent Something Treaty. And it gives recommendations to member states on the kind of laws to enact and so on. And remember that Kenya is a developing country. I'll give you an example of a law that we have, a very good law that we have in our law section that we have in our law that is not there in many other developed countries. There's something called technovations. It is there in our laws, but is not there in the laws of the developed nations. So some of these laws look at your economic environment. Yeah. And again, Kenya, we borrow a lot from the UK. US is a different system of law altogether. So those could be some of the reasons. And also remember that we have our personal goals as a nation, Vision 2030, innovation policies, and so on. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you, Kathy. Just a follow-up question to Ben's and Richard questions. Does the exemption also apply to APPs? And maybe you'll describe to us what APPs are.
All right. That's Pauline. Thank you for your question. I believe she means apps.
Yes.
Apps, right? Okay.
Right.
So I first let me give a disclaimer that I'm not an IT person per se, but I want to believe that an app that is mobile app, right, or desktop app, I believe they are also falling under softwares. So the same exemption would apply. Unless you came up with a gadget, Pauline, let's say it's a phone, your own hardware, call it Pauline phones. Then that phone has an inbuilt app. Then maybe you could root for a patent, and and you show that that app somehow integrates itself with the hardware for it to work. Then you could go for a patent, but otherwise the same exemption. Yes.
Interesting. I hope Pauline, I hope that is fine, Pauline. And I'm sorry if you have an echo from my end. Just to read a few comments. John Nyakiti says, very informative. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Thank you, Ben Marshall. Karibu sana. Gladys says, it's great. Thank you so much. There's Bishop also. Thank you, Bishop, for coming in. Great also. Thank you so much also for attending. I really appreciate you. Just to go on, Kathy, I know, you know, and I brag, I say you're my lawyer, and I'll brag again and say that just in
Thank
case
you.
anyone threatens me here, I have a lawyer on board, but I'm joking anyway. But you know, you've created a very interesting concept to work with small and medium enterprises. For
Uh-huh.
those of us that kept on thinking that it's expensive, until we met you, we realized that this is actually can happen. What have you done with your company, and how are you working with small and medium enterprises, and especially of what you've created out of that?
Okay. All right. Thank you, Ivy, and thank you for the compliments. So basically, viewers, Sympathia Advocates is a firm that was formed, and our vision is to be a change agent in the business and legal environment. I'll give you a brief history of why I started the firm, and I have practiced by the time I was starting the firm, I had practiced for about 8 years and doing the same thing that I'm doing. But one thing I noticed is there was a gap, and there was a gap in the for entrepreneurs. There was a gap for innovators and SMEs, and I realized that not a lot of most of them could not afford legal services, and especially so for the innovators. Now, I used to feel very bad turning away a client and telling them, you know, you have to raise this deposit. If you can't raise it, sorry, I can't help you. And a case that particularly touched me was of some young men who came up with something that would really, really help the country. Actually, it was on that scale of helping the country. So I felt so bad turning them away, and I started my firm with that vision. Just to clarify, that is just one segment of the firm, because we also do the bigger clients and so on. But for this show, we have a product for entrepreneurs or the SME sector. Now, a bit of a background. The objective or the motivation for forming this was one, access to justice or access to legal services. So that legal services is not only for the corporates and the big, you know, the big fish in the sector, but also the smaller startups and so on are able to also access legal services. And the second thing, we wanted to make it affordable, but we also don't want affordable losing quality. So affordable while maintaining the quality, because quality is very important. And we are very much aware that we are in a technology, you know, the world is moving to tech. So that is one of the things that caused us to come up with this product, because we need to change also as lawyers how we offer our services. We have to keep up with the times. I know there's the old school way of doing things, but we also have to keep up with technology. Now we live in a do-it-yourself age. There's a lot of information out there, how to, you know, how to cook pilau, how to whatever, how to play a guitar, all that. So we have a product on those lines in terms of legal services. And before I introduce it, I want to say that um, it, for me, I think it's more affordable to access legal services in a package rather than transactionally. Okay, because if I give you a package, one-stop shop, your legal services, sorry, your legal needs are sorted rather than transactional. You have to hire a lawyer for every transaction that you do. So our product is a package. We're still looking for a name, by the way, but for now, I call it Legal Toolkit, and it is our contribution to the SME field. It is also a way of, a way of doing good in the business sector, because we believe many will be helped. So basically, how it works with this one-stop shop or with this package, you have access to A to Z of law, intellectual property, business incorporation, A to Z of business law, yeah? So you will not see anything about divorce in that package, yeah? So it is online. It's an online, accessible from anywhere, any part of the world. It is accessible, downloadable upon payment of a fee. Now, it caters for most of your legal needs, and it has been tailor-made for Kenyan SMEs. So remember the case of Texas, where you just download something and it's Texas. But now this is tailor-made. We have spent time researching, months researching, and we put together a team of advocates to critically look into the content that goes into this package. Now, it is not just a package you buy like some software. The advantage of our product over others is that in addition to having the package, you also have access to a lawyer, depending on the package you choose. So bronze package, you'll get the toolkit, and you'll also get 5 free consultations in addition to whatever you're getting. So that means if you need to consult the lawyer on some parts of law, then it gives you that. Silver gives you 10 consultations, gold gives you 15, and we have the highest, which is premium, where we actually come in and do more for you. So it is a sort of a partnership in terms of you're not working alone in decision making. You can call your lawyer and find out, should I get into this contract or not? You can get and it's free. It's part of the value addition. You want to fire a staff member, sending a warning letter. You want to sue somebody, demand letters, and so on. So that is what the package offers. Now, on top of that toolkit, I think Ivy had asked how SMEs can also get legal advice. Sorry, in a box. So there's also retainers, where at one flat rate you access your legal services, all legal services, except going to court and so on. And there's something we've also innovatively come up with, and that is advisory board. So if you have one of our lawyers as part of your advisors, sort of like a board member, so you have to, this is only for companies. So you have one of our lawyers as a board member, then he'll be able to work with you, giving you the legal advice you need, giving you the legal, but this is only strategic advice that your company will need. And it is more affordable than having a lawyer or employing a lawyer, having them as board members. And I think if anyone is interested, maybe they can get in touch for more.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Thank you so much, Kathy. I think that's so informative, and we'll be sharing Kathy's details so that you can reach out in case of anything. But there's a very interesting question from Pauline. I think you see it. The
Mm,
MPSR Act makes provision for registration of IP right as collateral for
mm.
facilities. It sounds good, especially for the creative industry, but how creative and other IP right owners take advantage of this provision? And I think that's, yeah,
Yeah.
I think, yeah. How do they take advantage of this provision? I don't see a bank giving a loan facility with a copyright certificate. 4,
Mm.
film as security. Thoughts? What are your thoughts?
Thank you so much, Pauline, for that wonderful question. The Movable Property Securities Act. So this is an act which was enacted some years ago, allowing people to take loans against intellectual property rights um, certificates. You know that you take a loan against land, you give your title deed and you get the money. So sorry, this law was passed to allow people to take loans against IP. So Ivy, you've registered Incubator Nest Hub as a trademark. You're given a certificate of trademark. So you go to a bank, deposit that certificate, and they give you funding for that. It's a very beautiful law, very beautiful. And I was so happy when it was passed. But like Pauline notes, it is not working. I approached a bank, I won't name the bank, but I was asking them, there's this law, what is your bank doing about enforcing this law? And because this innovators access to funding, you don't have to have land, you don't have to have big assets. All you need is an idea, protect it, and then you can get a loan. But they said, the problem is the risk. Yeah, because something like a patent is a new thing. It hasn't been tested, it hasn't been proven. There are no historical records. Yeah, you cannot check how much profit was made or how much revenue is likely to be made because it's a new thing. Then there's also the thing of the market, inadequate research. And I understand from banks and financiers that they need to, these are some of the things they need, this is some of the information they need to determine the interest and all those kind of things. So the risk is apparently high. In as much as the law is there, the risk is high. Now, personally, if you ask me, if I was to if I was to start a bank, this is what I'd be doing. I'd be lending people money against their IP certificates. Because how will I recover if the person is not able to pay? Then the idea becomes mine. I mean, the IP becomes mine. Yeah, they transfer their IP to me. So I know I'll just use a biblical example where the Bible says that you're a lender to many, but a borrower to none. And if I was to lend, I'd lend in this sector because this is the way the world is moving. Things like Facebook, Microsoft, and everything. These are IP things. They are not. Nowadays, we are not in the era of industrialization or capital intensive. We are in the information age, and this is where I'd actually do it. Now, for an investor, the risk is very high because you don't know how to do. Yeah, you've invented a robot, or whatever. No, I mean, who is going to buy your robots? Yeah, so the risk is very high. So the return or the rate of return is also high. So if you are a risk taker as an investor, and you have some loose money, please just lend into IP related sectors. Now, Facebook, if you trace the history, I may not be very accurate, but it started just as a small enterprise. Then they interested an angel investor who invested in them. And then they moved it to the next stage where they were able to get another round of funding. Then they took it, like that until they finally did the IPO. So my encouragement, if anyone is in the finance sector, please take it to your corporates. Please, we need a bank or a financial institution that will lend to innovators. It is going to improve the economy. It's going to lead to job creation. I mean, there's so much to be won by doing this. Mm.
Hey, Kathy, I think we need 2 days to do this or even more because what you're downloading today is deep stuff. Some of the things that are hidden, like MPSR Act, I can't even believe. and the way we have so many innovators in the country. Some of them are just giving up and just going away, because they don't know what to do. But this is very, very timely. And I say thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, you've heard it from Cathy. We have so much opportunity we're not working on. Let's look at our businesses. Let's look at our ideas. Let's look at those things, that we do in the village. We used to do traditions that are there that we can patent or we can trademark and, sell them as licenses. That's still creating business. But we need to protect our ideas. We need to protect our own things that we have done, because where we are moving in the world now is becoming a global world, where if your idea is good, it can move to very many areas. But make your lawyer your partner, which is something that is very, very critical. Cathy, what is your parting shot as we finish?
Wow. Well, my parting shot is the same as yours. It's good to identify a good lawyer and enter into some sort of partnership with them, grow together. And I'll tell you, when it comes to innovations or businesses or ideas, you cannot do it alone. It's a matter of teamwork. You need a team. Okay, you need I was listening to, I love listening to entrepreneurs, and one with a very big entity. And she was asked, how did you make it? And she said, I partnered with my bank. My bank was my partner. I listened to another one in real estate, and he said, my bank was my partner. So have those kind of partnerships, not necessarily just lawyers. Have a financial partner, have all those partners. So identify a good lawyer who you can partner with, who you can grow together. And when you're out there, when you're big and everything, don't forget your lawyer, yeah? Because I know there are people who, when they're small, they go to some random farms, and when they become big, they go for the bigger farms. Just have those partnerships, and I believe in the power of partnerships and collaborations, and you will grow.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Dr. Cathy.
Thank you.
This, for me, has been the most informative session on things that we refuse to think about as business people. And I think we have taken a lot of notes, and we will actually follow up as much as possible. So again, I want to say thank you for everyone who's attended. My name is Ivy Silvata from the Incubator Nest Hub. We work a lot with entrepreneurs from the idea stage all the way to growth stage. So if you have an idea, it's very good for you to look for us, and we see how we're going to work together. We try as much as possible, put all these things together so that when you start a business, you've thought about your legal, your finance, you've thought about your idea, your customers, so that you don't go and make mistakes. Because one of the things that we are very passionate about is creating sustainable businesses that can actually last, and also innovation as part of it. So again, please like our page. We are at Incubator Nest on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, everywhere. We are there. So like our page, we have a lot of information that we share. And also we have a lot of sessions that we have like this ones. And also we have our programs also coming up. So please like our page. Cathy, thank you so much. I mean, this
Thank
has
you,
been
Ivy.
lovely.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much,
Thank you
Ivy.
so much. Yeah, yeah.
Thank you too.
For everyone who's attending, thank you so much. Have a very wonderful afternoon. Today we passed by 3 minutes, so we're really sorry about that. But have a wonderful afternoon, and please share the links to the rest of the people. Asanteni sana.
Okay, God bless.